So harken back to when you first came to Vegas.
Yeah.
And as with everything, everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
Were you sent here with any advice?
Well, now we're talking about the first time, which was like early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
No. I had an idea of what it was like, but now I had been to Reno.
Okay.
So I had seen
not quite the same.
No, it's not. But remember the strip in the 80s, remember there's no Bellagio,
True.
there's no Mirage, there's the Sands and there's the Dunes, and really the Stardust was kind of one of the bigger ones.
Right.
And the Riviera across the street. So it really wasn't built up like it is now. But I had been in casinos before, but I wasn't old enough to partake of them, right? Because I was too young. So yeah, my dad gave me some money or something that said, hey, don't spend it all in one same place or whatever.
Don't take any wooden nickels.
Don't take any wooden nickels. And so that's pretty much what I did. Now I was going down there to visit my girlfriend, who lived with me in the Bay Area, but they had opened a clothing store at a brand new mall. That was the Fashion Show Mall at that time.
Okay. And
it just opened, and she went down there to train the new manager who was going to manage that store of this chain.
Okay.
So that's why she was down there, and she was down there for a couple of weeks, I think. So I went down there for 3 or 4 days, something like that.
Okay.
It was kind of dull because she was working the whole time.
All right.
And like I said, I pissed through my money pretty fast. So they had a condo where they were staying.
Yeah.
And so I stayed there and read books, and I went in the mall. And I looked around and looked through the casinos, but they weren't as entertaining as they are now. No. So that was the first time.
This early 80s, you said?
Yeah, early 80s.
Right.
So I guess it would be, I was 21, so that would be 1980. So that really was early 80s. Yeah.
Not '08.
Yeah. The second time I'd heard stories.
Okay.
And it's kind of hard to visualize when talking about a volcano going off and a pirate battle on the street. And,
yes.
And I'm trying to imagine this, and I really think somebody's exaggerating here.
Sure.
So I came there, and now remember, I had also learned a lesson from when I went to Japan in 1984. I heard a lot of advice, and like everything else, I think this guy's full of shit.
Yeah.
Mostly these were older people who had been there right after the war. Oh, you're going to want to get a servant or a maid or something like that, like as if Japan was still a third world country, sort of thing.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
We all need that.
Yes, we all need that. Oh, you're going to get a maid, and no, I'm not. But yeah, and I went over there. Nobody had those. I mean, they had well advanced. Maybe again, like I said, right after the war, maybe, but certainly not by the time I was there in 1984. Was that? So I realized that most of the advice people told me about Japan was wrong. Even things I'd seen on television. I'd heard things, oh, the Japanese are really into this or that. And I go over there and I asked them about it. They said, well, we don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned then not to really, to take everything pretty much with a jaundiced eye.
Yeah.
And so when I came here, I had read newspapers. What I had done when I researched Las Vegas before I moved here was, I would buy the Sunday newspaper. I could get the Las Vegas Review Journal in Tokyo. At the Tower Record Store. Now I paid like $10 for it. And it was old. By the time they got it, it was a week old, but I really didn't care. I mean, it didn't have to be up to date. Again, this is pre-internet. So, I would look through it and look at what things cost and what neighborhoods and things like that. I got a kind of a feel for what it would be like to live here more so than just visit.
And do you think that through a vehicle like the RJ, they were accurate to a point? I mean, did you come here with your eyes open? Yeah,
because there were certain things that I could see that were advertised, even then I looked at that time, of course, when you wanted a job, people, they had want ads. So I could see what's the state of their economy. And this is the only city, well, one of the only cities where you will see probably the large, when you look in the want ads back in the day, if you remember, they were alphabetized. And if you were looking for an accounting, just like the phone book, accounting was A, and they had gaming or casino, and there was pages and pages.
Sure.
So you don't see those in other cities. So you kind of get an idea of, well, this is what they're hiring for. Yeah, they kind of examine it and look at it analytically.
Yeah.
And you see the houses, how much they cost, and rent, and things like that. So you have a kind of an idea of what it's like to live here. Whereas most advice you get from people are just when you're going to visit, what hotels, and even then, even today, you go online, whether there's Yelp or TripAdvisor, you have to kind of always look at that and remember that people, generally speaking, they're going to post a review if they're pissed off because they're emotional enough to do something. If they really liked it, maybe they will too.
Yeah.
But chances are, if they had a good time, but it was good, it was fun. Hey, I had a good. They're not going to bother, right? So unless they really had a reason to do it, generally speaking, it's going to be, oh, I'm really pissed off. I'm going to show them. It's going to be a negative review, and you have to kind of look at that and say, well, I think that they were, again, so often we've talked about this, that their expectations were overblown.
Yeah.
They think they're going to come here and it was so crowded. Well,
yeah, we talked about crowded. Yes. We talked about that last week.
What do you expect?
Now, what is the best piece of advice you could give someone who's coming here to visit?
Yeah,
as a vacation, and to live. They might be the same. I don't know. Yeah. But what do you think?
Generally speaking, I always say my best advice is don't take anybody's advice, sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah. But things, like I said, are better now in the sense that, like I didn't have the access to a lot of things online. I mean, we had email back in the late 90s, but the internet, and there was internet, but it wasn't as evolved as it is today.
Right.
In fact, there's probably
Al Gore just started.
Oh, he just started. That's right. Yeah. He put the keys in the ignition, right? Because we know the internet is really just a series of tubes.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's there's probably overwhelming amount of information. But there are some decent travel books I remember reading back then that I got and read through. There was even books I read on gambling and gaming and things like that, and advice. But the best thing that I did was I came here several times before I moved here and visited. And I looked around and I got to know people who lived here. And I listened to what they had to say. So my advice to somebody, and I look and say, that was really good advice, and I would give it to anybody that wants to live here, is you better not like to gamble.
Right.
You better not like that. Oh, now and then, even then it can become a problem.
Yeah.
If that's what attracts you, stay away, because you're going to lose.
Yeah, I agree. If every nickel hurts, you're going to do okay here.
And it's the same thing with the drinking. If it's a temptation for you, or if it's been a problem in the past, it flows here 24/7, and almost wherever you go, particularly in the casinos, whatever, you can still. I mean, the prices have obviously gone up.
Yeah, it's harder to get a free one now.
Yes, you're not going to get a free one, but you can get a cheap one.
Yeah,
and they have happy hours, and a lot of the local places, they have a lot of places that cater to the locals, and things are going to be cheap. So if those are things that are too tempting, or you have a problem, then don't move here. Yeah. Those would be the things. So.
I agree. What I did was I surfed all of our listener and guest and fan comments, and I kind of went around the internet a little bit, and I compiled 10 pieces of bad advice.
Okay.
Based on what I think you and I will agree is bad advice. Not necessarily, detrimental to your health, but just bad advice for when you come here for a newbie. And this is advice for people visiting, bad advice for people visiting as a vacation or as a fun stop or whatever, not living. Living is a whole different thing. But you're absolutely right. I know a lot of people that moved here that didn't know they had the predisposition for gambling.
Yeah.
And they did.
Yeah.
And they got in trouble quickly, because that's easy to do. It's actually easier to drink, easier to gamble than drink.
Yeah.
The first one, these are in no particular order, but I listed 10 that I think popped up many, many times or in many versions. And we talked about this first one. You don't need any plans. Yeah, you don't need any plans. Just go. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff to do. That's not true.
No, that's
terrible advice. Terrible advice for wherever you go.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're just going in your own town, you need to make a plan.
Yeah.
And then in conjunction with that, 1 and 2 are sort of the same. I heard this many times, and I still hear it. It's the strangest thing, because I think any help is good help when you're already here.
Yeah.
We're talking about advice pre-Vegas, pre-arrival. But it's don't make any plans and don't use a concierge. They cost money.
Yeah, no, we never did.
Yeah. Does it cost money? We've talked about the tipping thing, and I think there's one that involves tipping here. But yes, you need to make plans. You need to make plans before you get here, and you need to solidify them and sort of fine tune them once you get here, with a concierge, with well, it depends on which house you go to, but a bell captain, a bellman can help you. Your front desk person can help you. But you absolutely need to make plans. Shows,
Yeah.
they sell out, and we're going into the Christmas season. In fact, next week we're going to do a Christmas show. What Christmas in Vegas?
Oh.
And what happens? It's different.
Yeah.
It is way different than people think. Because the shows are dark, meaning they don't play.
But we're still crowded because we have a lot of people who come from foreign countries
Right, yeah.
that don't, it's to them, it's just a day.
Yeah, tremendous number of non-Christian patrons come
Yes.
here, it's a whole different crowd, but it's still crowd.
Yeah.
And shows are dark because they're taking vacations. Restaurants, I know for a fact. In fact, I'm doing something for a great client over at the Venetian, of all things, they have their own annual holiday party, and then they shut the restaurant down for a week to clean it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, and it's an amazing cleaning. People, I never knew this until I was working with these folks, and they like sandblast. I mean, they go in there and all the stainless steel. They go in there and it's just like a hose, and they just clean the crap out of everything, and it's sparkling. I've been in there before and after.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Yeah, but so restaurants are closed, shows are closed. I mean, it's a huge thing. So don't make any plans. Tell that guy to go away, because that's a terrible piece of advice.
Yeah, it is.
And absolutely use the concierge. It doesn't cost any money. You don't have to pay. It's not like a credit card fee.
Yeah.
You gotta stick a crowbar in your ass and give him $20 because he's helpful.
Yeah.
And the third one, again related to that, is you don't need to tip. They make
That's horse shit.
And always what followed that. You don't need to tip. They make a ton of money there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't understand why people think that Las Vegas workers make more than other workers in anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
We make the same. They make the same. It's a wage and tips. If that's your industry, if that's what you're doing. Like, for example, a dealer makes close to, if not right at or slightly above, again, it depends on the house, minimum.
Exactly.
And then the tips.
I think I mentioned, I bought a book at a book sale here at the library earlier this year, and inside, folded up in a piece of paper, was somebody's, obviously whoever donated the book was a dealer, because there was their pay stub basically in the middle of the book, and it showed they were a crap dealer at the Wynn. They dealt craps at the Wynn, and they made minimum wage, but their tips more or less compensated for it, so that they made a good living there.
Yeah, pretty good living.
Yeah, but again, I mean, that's not all craps dealers. That's one. Hey, that's the Wynn. That's going to be on the Strip. He's probably been doing it a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, without those tips, then this guy's making what you make at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And there was one of those sites that I had seen which says 12 things never to do in Las Vegas, and really what it was advice, and they coached it negative. I guess so to get people to look at. And one of the things was don't forget to tip, because they said it's a tips economy here. People rely on that. So yes, they make a ton of money. If everybody gave the doorman $1 for opening the door, sure, he would make out really good at the end of the day. But not so many people do. Yeah. It isn't something that because obviously, this person isn't going to give him $1. And we worked at the concierge desk, and there were weeks where, I told you, I averaged $100 a week. That was it, $100 a week. And it could be that first guy comes in on Thursday when I started, gave me $100. I didn't make another tip the whole 5 days I was there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the other thing that kind of follows along with that I got a lot is they make a ton of money, and their tips are under the table. No, they're taxed. They're taxed 100% every time, and it's terrible. But that's a silly thing. But terrible advice. You need to tip, and tipping is just. There's even, it's obvious that you're trying to help the economy, that you're trying to keep these people in business so you can continue to come and have fun. But it's also a luck thing, I mean, a lot of people don't believe in that. And it's a courtesy. It's like, he just hit you, and you just, you doubled down on aces, and you did fantastically. You got to throw the guy a little something.
Yeah. And you mentioned about giving the concierge $20. If somebody gave me $20, I remember them.
Yeah.
And they come back again on a completely different, they wanted a reservation for a show and a dinner. And I did that. And then if they come back because they've got something else they want, I'm not expecting another $20. Right. I mean, I've already helped them with it, but I remember that. And I'm going to remember this is Mr. $20 bill or Mr. $10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm going to remember that. Now, if he tips me again, great. But if he doesn't, it's like, well, he already, did something.
Did anybody
wrong.
ever give you change?
No, I never had that. No,
I got 2 quarters one time. It's fantastic.
I got a chip. I got a chip from Bellagio, so I had to cash it in. But that was pretty rare to even get a chip. You got change, huh?
Yeah, 2 quarters. I remember 2 quarters, and it was a big deal. The guy he slid them to me. And I was like keeping it. It was so funny.
Yeah, Wayne told me when he was at the Mirage as a butler, and he was, of course, you're the butler. You're in those special
VIP suites,
VIP. Now these are really high end people, and there was a royal family from some European country. I believe it was Spain, but it could have been somewhere else.
Right.
Anyhow, he was in there and he was going to leave, and the woman, she didn't speak English. She holds up her hand like, wait, and she goes over to the table where she's got a mountain of coins and just slides them off into her palm and hands it to him. So you got like $1.10 and now, of course, maybe she doesn't know what they're worth, right? I don't know.
I was the guy that gave me the 2 quarters. He thought it was a big deal. I mean, he was naive.
Yeah.
And I never, every penny counts, especially today. So I never had a problem with that. I mean, if they were just being, assholes and throwing you, change, whatever. I didn't have a problem with that. The other piece of advice that goes along with this number 3, the tipping thing, is I heard one guy here in Vegas at Starbucks, and he was telling his friend, and they weren't from here; they were from California. Most of the time, there's no one in California; they're all here or on our freeways. But he was telling the guy how to give a tip. And in this case, it was a bellman, but he was going through the whole handshake thing, how to palm it and everything else. And he says it's the only way to do it, and you got to. No. In fact, it can be tremendously awkward, especially if the person is busy and not expecting it, because you'll drop it, and he won't feel it, and you'll end up back with it in your own hand. Just hand it.
Yeah.
Just hand it.
Yeah.
You're not no part of a tip is insulting.
Yeah.
No part of a tip. Don't throw it at him.
Yeah.
Don't throw the quarters at him.
Don't throw anything at us.
Yeah.
Room keys especially.
That's right.
They have sharp edges.
What do we got here? We got number 4. Don't play certain games, and I'm sort of generalizing. Don't play those slots. Over at Caesars and oh man, don't ever go to the sports betting. If you don't know what you're doing, you won't have any fun, and they'll just take your money. Well, we're here to take your money.
Yeah.
Vegas is going to take your money.
Yeah.
99% of your money is going to leave, and the rest of it is going to go for hotel and food.
Yeah.
So that's a silly thing to say. Have fun. Be conscious of how much you're bringing. Make a budget. Lose it, win it, whatever. Even the pros, they're barely, making it, as doing what they do. But there is nothing that you need not play.
Yeah.
Everybody said, my favorite game, strangely enough, is roulette. Worst game in the house.
Yeah.
Worst game as far as the odds are concerned. Especially now with the triple
zeros now. Yeah, if you can find single zero, wow, jump on that game. But doubles and triples.
Be mindful of what you're playing, but have fun. And if you hit, fine. It's like megabucks. Most people hit it with $20.
And you see, here's what's funny about that, Jamie, is people will go out and drink and have a good time, and they'll spend a lot of money. Probably, and then they'll wake up the next day feeling like shit or not remembering what they did,
right?
Or get rolled or something like that. You can go out and if you're careful with the money, you're not playing high end. You're just making small wagers, small bets, or slot machines that aren't really you're not loading it up with $5 every time you pull. You can have a great time too, and you feel good the next day. I mean, you lost your money, but you're going to expect to do that anyway. Don't expect to win. They always do in the TV commercials. They're always smiling.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, why? They, oh yeah, because they won that hand. Let me see the next hand. Same thing on those telephone ads. People are always smiling when they're on the phone. Nobody ever has an argument. You ever notice that on those ads for cell phones? Ah, ha, ha, ha. No one's. I wish all conversations were like that.
Exactly.
No, but yeah, that's it. It has to be that attitude, that approach. That you're not going to win. If you do great, you're never going to win at the bar like that and end up at the end of the night with more money than you left. But there is a chance that'll happen, but don't expect it. Just have a good time with it.
Yeah, absolutely. No expectation of winning. Everybody has their patterns and the way they do things. And this, I've got the perfect system. Nah, there's no systems. There's nothing. But the number one bad piece of advice that I kept hearing and keep hearing even today is you have to know what you're doing. No, you don't. Most of the time, we both, John and I, I know I've seen those dealers, those concierge, the bellman, and they're having a bad day, or they're not good at their job, or they're just terrible human beings, and they're not helpful. But most of the time, if you sit down at a game and you're like, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, help me out, they will help you out.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not including players. Players are dickweeds.
Yeah.
Especially if you get that guy on first or third base.
Yeah.
And don't sit on the ends of any game. Because that's a decision-making area. Sit in the middle on a craps table. It's also called the hook. Don't sit on the hook of any game, because you're going to be looked at to kind of know what you're doing. But don't be afraid. Especially the sports book. It's absolutely fun. Blackjack, craps, they're all fun. So don't be afraid.
And the other thing for somebody, if they're going to come here and they say we're going to play. If at home, when you're playing board games, Monopoly or whatever, if you're a sore loser, then that's the other thing. You're going to have a bad time because you're going to lose.
Yeah.
And you might win some hands but I was ahead. Everybody says that. And then you give it all back. But that's part of it. I think that even if subconsciously is that they don't want the fun to end.
Yeah.
So just like any other party's over. So go in there thinking I got $100 here, whatever. And when it's gone, I'm going to see how long I can make it last. Can I make it last an hour, 2 hours, whatever? Great. If you did, to me, that's being a winner.
That's right. Always my advice, if you have a small budget, $100, even less, Pai Gow poker. Yeah. Oh man. You can drink and eat and play Pai Gow if you're careful all damn day.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic game. Okay, next I heard one. I actually saw one on TripAdvisor.
Ooh.
I'm a fan of TripAdvisor.
Yeah,
I use it quite a bit.
Yeah, you gotta separate the wheat from the chaff.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because like you said, most people are negative. Most people, the only time they ever say anything is negative. And Yelp, they're extortionists. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Take the monorail everywhere. No,
it doesn't go
anywhere hardly, and it's rarely working.
Yeah.
And it's a very cool thing. Most people don't know they're actually they were purchased and refurbished from where? Disneyland. Yes, they're actually Disneyland monorails.
Yeah.
And they've expanded the track system and built a few new stations, but it's still it really does not go a lot of places.
No,
it is slow. Because of the loading. Expensive. Yeah. And very pesky when it comes to working. I mean, it's often down. So that I just found that, and they were vehement. They were take the monorail, don't do rideshare or taxis. Not true. The monorail will, especially if you're on a time frame. Ooh man, I would not count on the monorail. Having not been a proponent of rideshare up into probably the last 6 months, I have to say I'm kind of a fan now. Yeah, I've been using Lyft, and good Lord, they just blow up my phone all the time with discounts.
Yeah.
So and it's very popular here. Still a problem. Hotels have not espoused how wonderful rideshare is yet, because I don't know. It's the relationship between the cabs and the bellmen and the limousines and everything else. Rideshare is kind of this redheaded stepchild still in town. So drop-off points aren't the best. But I think rideshare, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I've used Lyft. I go to the airport. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
From where I'm at, it's about half the price of when I take a taxi coming home.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken them in other cities. And I talked to the drivers, and they seem to enjoy doing what they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I've had good success with that. Now I haven't taken it, again, all up and down the strip,
Yeah.
and I'm not sure. Again, that would be something. Another bit of advice is, on the some models of cars, on the side mirrors, it'll say objects may be closer than they appear.
Right.
It's the same with these hotels. Oh, it's just across the street.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's in the next block. Yeah, but you have to understand these are really, really long blocks.
Right.
And it's going to take you a while to get there. And just because you see the sign doesn't mean that's where the hotel is. It could be another, a tenth of a mile or something from there, either off the strip.
Right.
And that's just the driveway, or that's just where the sign is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get inside and you're tired. And then you get in this.
It's a couple more blocks inside.
Right.
Yeah.
So people can get, I knew that at the concierges, they got frustrated. They were exhausted when they got in. They were hot. Where is this or that? And then I got to give them these really elaborate directions, because, again, I have honed these directions. This is about as clear as I can get, and as lean as I can get. But still, I got to tell you how you're going to have to go down here and make a left and do this, and then make a right and take the escalator up, and then walk past the shops, and you'll see that restaurant on the right. And it'll take you, it's roughly 8 minutes. If you know where you're going, basically.
I used to, this was always just a blind guess, but whenever I had someone that would come up to me for directions, and I knew that they were in a good mood and they were okay people, I would say, go down here, look for the pizza place, turn right, go down there, look for the chocolate place, turn left, go down, look for the Blue Man Group Theater, turn right. At that point, you're about halfway.
Yeah.
So, and they would laugh, but it's actually true.
Yeah.
It's very Vegas vacation.
And
it's very funny.
I remember one time, again, it's that I mentioned that one time to the hotel director.
Yeah.
We had their, well, what's the biggest complaint? I said, people, because of the size.
Yeah.
How far it takes them to get to their room, the elevators for their room,
Yeah.
from the lobby. He says, well, it's a resort, hotel, casino. It's all three. So that's just the way it is. Then, there's no, and I thought, but yeah, and it's worse than other hotels. You go to the MGM, look where the front desk is. Yeah. It's like having a hotel at the bottom of the Grand Canyon. That's the lobby.
Yeah.
And it's just like, where are the rooms? The rooms, right?
John.
So the economy of size here, you have to get used to that.
Absolutely.
And look at the map and kind of study it, because if you realize, oh yeah, I should have turn left instead of right, it's a long way back.
Yeah, that's right. And basically what this is, C number 1.
Yeah.
Make plans. It's tough. Okay, what do we got here? It's number 6. You absolutely have to get a bottle table to get into a club? No. That's what the hosts will tell you.
Yeah.
And when you put, I don't know if anybody has noticed on social networking. I don't even know if social networking is still going. Is it still Instagram and everything?
Yeah, I guess so.
Especially Instagram, if you or Twitter, if you hashtag Vegas, Las Vegas, LV, any one of those Vegas breakdowns, you're gonna get a host somewhere saying he's gonna help you.
Yeah.
He's going to help you get a bottle table. He's going to help you get in. He's going to help you with multiple clubs. He's going to help you with the party bus. He's going to help you go to the strip clubs. And is he going to help you? A little, maybe. But it's you got to realize the system is very simple. He is working as a third party, almost a subcontractor for whatever club. He can work for multiple clubs.
Yeah.
But he is a host promoting this club and to get people to come in. Now, you don't need a bottle table. You don't need anything. If you're about 3 or 4 hot girls, you don't need anything.
Yeah.
Go up to the front, make eyes at the doorman. And you're getting in. You don't have to stand in line. Now, if you're a bunch of dudes, you got to go a different direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might need to use a host, but don't let them sell you on the bottle tables, because it's just a half-ass bottle of Grey Goose, 4 glasses, and then you'll never see anybody again. There are some clubs that are a little bit better than that, but you can get in. Just make sure you've got some money in your hand. It's the one. Whereas the concierge you can use and not have to spend any money. Clubs you have to spend money to get in. So, but I still hear people all the time say, "Oh, get a bottle table," or for summer, get buy the cabana. Well, yeah, we've talked about the whole hygiene aspect of cabanas and everything.
Yeah.
And same thing. It's the same thing. It's a bottle table at the pool. You don't have to. You absolutely don't have to.
You'll end up sometimes paying more for the cabana than your room.
Yes.
You know, and
absolutely. On premium days?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you can use hosts. I'm not saying the club hosts are bad.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they'll run a story on you that really paints a great picture.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't have a lot of power.
Yeah.
You know.
What you said about the hot chicks is right. I mean, even, you know, when I worked there, even going back to the, you know, 2000 to 2003-ish, 99 to where the clubs weren't as built up as they are now.
Yeah.
But I remember at the desk, this hot chick came up and she said, and she was with several other ones. She said they were on a TV show, Skank Island, Temptation Island, something like that. You know what I'm saying? There was a
Skank Island. That's
Skank
a CW,
Island.
right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyhow, there was some reality TV show, and I had no reason not to believe it. And she's being over the top flirtatious. Let me look down her shirt and everything, bending over, and really wanting to get into a club. Well, she's not going to have any problem at all. So I said, yeah, I'll see what I can do for you, right? I just pick up the phone and call and said, who's working the rope tonight? Just, you know, I give him a name.
I know, yeah. Oh.
Yeah, Benjamin. Go, yeah, I just told you. Go see Benjamin when you get there.
Yeah, exactly.
He'll get you in.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but Marquee, Hakkasan, all the big ones, you know, just take it easy. Take some money, guys. You know, go up to the front girls and you'll be fine. 7. We talked about, actually, we combined 6 and 7. Must prearrange club access. No. Number 8. Do or do not apply for the M Life or Caesars credit card for parking. Now, really interesting subject. I talked about this with my cousin recently, who lives here as well. And he goes to the Golden Knight games. He's already prearranged the licensing for his Raiders seat.
For the Raiders seat?
Yes. Because huge fan. He's been a Raiders fan forever, a brand new Golden Knight fan. And hey, good on him. But he made mention that to avoid the parking costs, he got the M Life, which is the MGM Grand International credit card, which gives you parking for free.
Oh.
I apologize.
Any other benefits to having the card? You know.
Well, standard benefits. I mean, there's a few little, I think, cashback things. I don't know exactly what they're doing now, but they're still doing the parking for free once you meet a certain expenditure, I believe. Caesar's the same. Now, I included this in the bad or good advice. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Now, I park there a lot, and I have the fortune of being I don't have to pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. But
how much is it then normally?
Oh gosh, it'll be anywhere from $7 to $25 depending on the day. You're usually looking at an average about $12, I think. Yeah.
Well, of course, where I come from, you know, San Francisco, even back in the 80s, it was, you know, at that time it was like, you know, $5 an hour. So to park, you know, and it's now it's ridiculous. Then the last time I was there, a long time ago, when I actually drove down there, it was like $12.95 for 20 minutes or something ridiculous. Right. Downtown San Francisco. So to me, you know, $7 isn't a lot, but if you use it a lot, if you're there frequently, it would seem to me that you could find some place to park for nothing, and then ride share in, and then that way you can avoid the rush out. Now, I've mentioned in the past a couple of times I went to the T-Mobile and I parked for free at the Tropicana. Now they said they're going to start charging on Golden Knights games, but at that time they didn't, and it's still a hike, you know. But the nice thing is once I walk over there, which takes, you know, 10 minutes to walk there, there's no traffic when I leave. I don't have game type of traffic because I park close to like where the Monte Carlo or the old Monte Carlo was. So it's at the park. And you know, go there, and then I have to deal with this traffic jam getting out. So to me, if I'm only there intermittently, I mean every now and then, I would say, yeah, hey, I'll go park down at the damn outlet mall and call rideshare and have them drop me off. But if you do go there frequently, and there's some savings for you in that regard. Now, in your cousin's case, of course, even with the football, that's not going to help. But there's not that many games. Golden Knights, I mean, does he go to every game?
No, oh, long story. He had a terrible problem with getting his Golden Knights tickets for this season.
Yeah.
Ended up having to get a quarter season, which he wanted more, but he got a quarter season, 11 games, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So you're looking at probably if you had to pay parking, you're looking at maybe, I don't know, $100, $150.
Yeah.
If you went that route, is a credit card worth it? I mean, then if he tires of the Golden Knights,
Yeah.
is it?
It's hard to say. I recently found out two things. I was taking my family and I were taking a Lyft
Yeah.
to a show, Lion King. Not bad. It was
Yeah.
okay. The Smith Center is a lovely place.
Yeah.
But the drop off for the Smith Center, fantastic.
No.
If you like close drop offs, or if you're with someone that can't really travel well as far as on their feet, great drop off. On the other side of that, the person told me that dropping off for T-Mobile, the park, anywhere in that central strip location, it is horrendous. There's no place, and it's hard for him to get in, hard for him to get out.
Where did they go then? Like over by the Vidara? Is it kind of off there? I know.
Yeah,
there's a side
not
by
quite that far, but
yeah,
there's a
Cosmo Park.
turnaround right there
Yeah,
that they
yeah.
go to, but it's still quite a walk at that point.
Yeah.
But the other thing he said is that there's a ride-share term now happening. It's called PITA, P-I-T-A.
Pain in the ass.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they use it when they communicate, and they as far as the app, they'll say it's PETA, and it is a pain in the ass. But I don't know, if you're looking at games at $25 a shot, for your parking, and you're in 11 games, that's a lot. But if you're looking at $12 as it goes down, it's really hard. And how often are you at the strip? But if you want a credit card that's relatively decent Visa card, and are an oft visitor to Vegas, why not? I mean, there's just might as well use it. But again, that kind of brings up a second point that I included, number 8, about driving and renting a car. I've seen people say, "Oh, absolutely rent a car." Or, good God, don't rent a car. Most of my travel is, good God, don't rent a car. I don't want to drive anywhere, especially foreign countries. I have no desire. And Orlando was pretty much a foreign country for me. So I was like, no driving.
Yeah.
But I don't know. How do you feel?
Oh,
renting, do you like driving when you travel?
Well, I drove in Japan, of course I lived there. But it was kind of shocking to me how easy it was for me to get an international license at that time. I just went to the 3As, I was a member, and they gave one to me basically for like $5 and a photograph. And I went over there and I'd already been there a year, so at least I could read some Japanese. And I was familiar with things. Of course, they don't drive on the right, they drive on the left. But so are the steering wheels on their cars are on the right side of the vehicle. Right. And this place where I was working, the guy says, "I got a company lesson. You're going to have to drive over there." Hey, and I'm fine. I know how to drive a car. Of course, I'd never driven over there. This was a stick shift, so I had to learn to suddenly I have to shift with my left hand. So everything is reverse. Still, that really wasn't a problem. But what I did notice, I thought, holy shit, their stop signs are red, but they're triangular. If you didn't know, and it says there in Japanese, not in Romaji, which is Romanized English, stop. But if you don't know tomare, reading that, you might think it was a yield or caution or something. Just go right through it. So yeah, I mean, I would prefer not to have to drive, especially if I'm not familiar with the area. Now, I rented a car just a couple of weeks ago, and I was up in the Bay Area. Traffic there is pretty bad, but I'm used to it. I've been up there before. It might have been a while. So yeah, and other things could happen right on a rent-a-car, but especially here with the number of accidents that we have. It's not pleasant driving.
It's not within the city. I agree. And we have a fantastic central rental location that's off the airport property.
Right.
On a road called Gillespie.
Yeah.
Google knows it as Gillespie. Yes. It's a great thing. The only advice I would give people that I feel is good advice is, if you don't plan on leaving the strip,
then no need for the car at all.
But as we have advised people, you really should have a day or a couple days where you go and visit all the extra things that are outside of the city.
Yes, exactly.
Then get a car.
Yeah.
Because if you are from the central part of the United States or the East Coast and have never really seen the desert scenery, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. If you go out to Lake Mead, we've talked about Valley of Fire, and once you get out there, once you get out of the sprawl of Las Vegas, here the roads are open. It's a very enjoyable drive.
Yeah.
The weather here is generally really nice most of the time, so that's not going to be a problem. There's no driving in the snow.
Right.
You can if you go up to Mount Charleston or something, but if you're from the snow country, you're not going to want to see that. But Valley of Fire with the Indian petroglyphs, that's a great drive, and I've made it a number of times, and it never gets boring. Red Rock Canyon, another one, you can go out there. Just if you don't like hiking, just drive through it. It's really nice, and you realize you're not that far away from the Strip, just a few miles, really.
Right.
8-9 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
And the Strip is, if somebody had blindfolded you and dropped you there, you'd think you're in the absolute middle of nowhere. And really just a few miles away is.
Yeah. So a qualified piece of advice.
Yeah.
Do it or don't, depending where you're going. Number 9, don't go downtown. Now, you and I have poked fun at the tragic downtown Las Vegas. I've recently been there. Last episode we talked about the Mob Museum in downtown. It's in my opinion, it's nice to okay. It is always seemingly on the decline, but as it declines, there's a new project.
Yeah.
So there's always something new going on down there. So if you visit here often, go downtown. But it really depends on what you want to see. There's a lot of things that locals don't like about downtown. The dirty Pikachus and the entertainers and everything else. And it doesn't offer a tremendous number of gaming opportunities or restaurants. It offers up quite a bit and some really quality ones.
Yeah.
But
there's even a brewery down there.
There's even a brewery.
I've been to that one. It's pretty good. You can find Groupon. That's how a friend of mine, he bought a Groupon for that brewery, and he said, "Hey, let's go down there," and we did.
Yeah.
And it was good. It was nice there, and there were some funky restaurants that you're not going to find on the Strip or those places. To me, it kind of reminded me, in some ways, the vibe that I get around that Container Park area there of Portland, downtown Portland, Oregon, in the sense that you're going to find some restaurants. The people work there are going to be tattooed. Vegan restaurants, Veganation, which is pretty well known here now, started there. They've got one in Henderson now, as well. Makes it easier. But that was a downtown location.
Yeah.
So there are a few things down there that are worth seeing, and they have tried. They have tried with the Smith Center and with the Mob Museum to get more people to go down there. But yeah, and you see the Fremont Street lights. If you're a tourist, go ahead. You got to see it. There is more of a feel of old Vegas downtown than you still see on the Strip, I think. And the same thing with a lot of clientele. Drunks, passed out there with, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, that sort of thing. Yeah, that's kind of old Vegas.
Yeah. Then they go to work.
Yeah, right. And then they go to work. Or back to their room.
Yeah. Great piece of advice, though, earlier you said about the Groupon. Downtown is like Groupon heaven.
Yes.
Because they are, I'll use the term desperate. They are desperate for new clientele and to build up their businesses and all the new stuff, the breweries and the Mob Museums and everything else. Get on Groupon. I'm not a real fan of Groupon. I think the whole system is kind of
they're harassing. I get those emails all the time.
They bomb you. But definitely check that out and check out all of that's where you can do some research. That's where you plan, because downtown can be made to be really fun. But if you go with no plan, it's going to be lame. It's not going to be fun. But if you go with a handful of Groupons and you get all this kind of stuff, and they're really great about giving out free 2-for-1s and 3-for-2s and everything else. It's really cool. Now, number 10. This is the one, I swear to God, I saw it probably 10 times in my research. By people that have written in, people, TripAdvisor, the internet, all these things. Don't get club cards. And I thought to myself, I recently saw Bill Burr, great comedian, fantastic comedian. And he was talking about how life has turned into this club cards, with the grocery stores and the Best Buys and everything else. And he's against them because they're tracking you. Well, yeah, they are tracking you. And that was the number one reason is like, don't get club cards, you don't get anything, and they track you, and Big Brother, and it's like, well, okay, yeah, but Big Brother's already tracking you.
Yeah.
Do you have a driver's license?
They're tracking
Big
you.
Brother's
Credit
tracking
card,
you.
they're tracking you.
Don't be silly. I think you should get club cards because specifically Thanksgiving, Christmas, different holidays, Veterans Day, and all these things, they give away pretty cool stuff. There was a time, I don't believe it, there's only one house left, I think, that still does at South Point, where you can score a turkey.
Yeah.
Now, if you're traveling here, you don't really need a turkey.
Yeah.
Frozen turkey. But locals, we would always do that. And they'd have these giant baskets of turkeys.
Yeah.
And you'd turn in your club card, and you'd get this free turkey, and you play your obligatory bingo, throw a couple of coins in the slot machine, and you'd be done. But I've gotten, oh my gosh, shot glasses, pens, turkeys, ham. I got a ham one time. They love to have branded stuff like valises and computer bags and things like that. So if you can get over the fact that yes, they're tracking your play, and yes, they're going to market to you based on that card information, I think it's great to have. And you need to always remember to shove it into the machines when you're playing. But now, do you have one?
I had one for, I think the M or in the Cosmo, just because when you signed up, they gave you something, 50% off the buffet or something like that. And I use, I have an email account that I use just for that sort of shit, which I almost never check.
A dump email.
A dump email.
Everybody has that now.
Everybody's got a dump email, whatever it is, and use that. And they've never bothered me in the sense that, I get things in the mail being a local from station casinos full of coupons for, free margaritas or 2-for-1s. Or,
free margaritas?
Yes, if you, with a purchase of something or else.
Purchase.
Yeah, but from the restaurants, and often I'll just come to resident with my name, so it's not like they're tracking me because I don't have a card with them. I almost never get anything in the mail from some of the other ones. I did get 50 half price or 2-for-1 for Cirque du Soleil tickets in the off season. They usually have a time of year for that, for being a resident. Could be, I've taken advantage of those in the past. To go see a show. I saw the Beatles show at the Mirage.
Love, yeah.
Saw Love. I saw Mystere that way. It was half off. So
yeah.
May as well take advantage of it.
You know what? As I search my brain for all the free stuff I've gotten, in all these many years I've lived here, for being a local, I was again. I'm mentioning the Mob Museum, but the Downtown Grand, Lady Luck used to be Lady Luck. That was the number one giveaway I ever saw. And it was the best foot-long hot dog you could ever get. And it was with your local ID. It was a Hebrew National, and it was the size of your forearm, and it was wonderful. Now, granted, they limited you to one, but it was amazing. So again, that probably speaks about downtown a little bit. They too are sort of limiting what they're giving away, yeah, I agree with you. It's so fun to get all these things, and unfortunately now you have to kind of invest yourself into the Groupon thing, or TripAdvisor or Yelp or whatever. I know Yelp has started this new program. They're basically wanting professional reviewers, and if you review this many times, you get discounts at whatever you reviewed, and I don't know. But so I have a bonus round. That was 10. That was 10. What did you think?
Good. I mean, they're shitty.
They're
shitty
crappy advice.
Yes,
Yeah.
It's a shitty advice.
So bonus round, number 11, and it's only because of what we're going through right now, which most people don't know and can't imagine. As Bugsy was standing there looking at the what should have been the El Rancho. You don't need a coat. It never gets cold in Vegas.
Yeah, bullshit.
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold. My pool freezes. My pool used to freeze over all the time. It was 38 degrees this morning.
Yeah.
When people come here, they're given advice about the weather. they are always told, oh, Vegas, always sunny, always great. You can swim all the time. No, the pool's closed. I believe they're all closed by now. I think the last one did. And then on the other side of it, John and I dealt with this all the time. People say that the suntan lotion and walking around, people would keel over in the middle of the street and keel over in the hotel lobbies. It gets really, really hot.
Yeah,
we are a city of extremes.
Yeah. What people don't realize, is that Las Vegas is like 2,000 feet elevation. So we're desert, but we're high desert. So we are accustomed to things do get cold. And I mean, by our standards, if you're from Minnesota, it's still going to be warm. But yeah, it can get down to freezing, depending on where you're at in the valley. But the thing that probably the worst weather that I think of when I associate with Las Vegas that I wish I could really do without is the wind. It is windy a lot, I mean, during the week.
April, May, June,
it was even windy, in the wintertime, if there's a storm coming in from California, whatever, it'll get windy. But yes, the spring winds, the fall winds, the summer winds, you'll know it if you've never flown here. You can always tell on the airplane. I'm looking around. I see people, when they start gripping their seat handle. Oh, they haven't been in here before because it's always kind of rough going in.
Oh, it feels like you were shot down.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's rough coming in, and that's normal because of it's high desert and we get a lot of wind. In the summer, it can be worse because you have that wind shear because it gets so hot in the daytime, and then once the sun starts to settle, that hot air rises. It mixes with the cooler air, and that causes a lot of turbulence. So, there's that issue but yeah, that's the weather. And so check ahead of time. And, they will close the Bellagio fountains for the high wind. Mm-hmm. They're not going to do it if it's really cold, but they will for the wind. So that's a factor. And it's not, don't come here in shorts, unless again, you're used to it being, 30, 35 and then you come here in the daytime and it's 50, 55. Yeah. Wow. That might seem warm to you, but yeah, remember that it's not always hot.
Well, unless you're a guy like me who wears shorts and sleeveless during the winter. But interesting. You mentioned the wind. And I guess we'll close with this anecdote. When I first got here many, many years ago, it was still over there at the Las Vegas Hilton. Yeah. A very iconic giant sign. Sort of looked like a peacock tail. A little bit. Yeah. And it was big. It was really, really tall. Pretty standard though, as far as those kind of types of sign go. And we had one of those days, and it was windy, and it was amazing. The wind ripped it off. Ripped off 3/4 of the sign and dropped it into the parking lot. And from that point on, I don't know. I don't even know if it's still there, if they've altered the sign and just, re-neoned it, rebranded it. But they made it 1/3 the size. So it was way below the wind line. And then it was like that for years and years and years. But yeah, it's serious.
And just this year, where I live in Henderson, they have the Henderson Pavilion, which is an outdoor amphitheater, and it's got a tent type roof, and wind tore it off this year, and it tore big holes in it, and they're still repairing it. But yeah, the Henderson Pavilion without a roof on it, without the cover, because it's
yeah. Well, John, thank you. As I said, next week, John and I are going to talk about Christmas in Vegas and talk about the good and the bad and what happens here during the holidays. So we'll talk about that a little bit. And John, this is this episode that we're finishing up right here, episode 90.
Wow.
I know.
Getting up there.
I'm getting up there. But we really do appreciate everybody connecting and tuning in, and really do appreciate all of the comments and wonderful things that are said, and all the connections we've made through social networking. Even though I speak badly about social networking, I really appreciate everybody, and we hope everybody that visits can benefit from some of the corrections and advice that we've given. We definitely hope that you find your peace, and we will see you next week. Thanks to everyone listening and watching. You can catch the Pod Bay Door on the Podbean app or any of your favorite podcast apps, including iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, and Stitcher Radio. You can watch the show on our YouTube channel at the Pod Bay Door Podcast. Please download, like, and subscribe. Our social connectivity screen is coming up. Check in with us on Facebook, Twitter, and WordPress. The Pod Bay Door is closed and talent is out. Hey everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the show. We would love to hear your show suggestions and comments. If you are watching on our YouTube channel, please click to subscribe. You can also connect with us on Facebook using @PBD Podcast, on Twitter using @TPBD Podcast, and on WordPress at thepodbaydoor.wordpress.com.